At this famous portal to Canada, it's being called the perfect storm. The airport's Green Coat volunteer force of 220 can't understand it. Everything that could go wrong did. Mother and son were separated by a glass wall 100 meters apart.
Anybody that is being met coming from customs is in what we call the meet and greet area.
Right here.
Right here. You can't go beyond it because it's a security area. So she could only have come this far.
So this is where Zofia paced around, checking in and out for 6 hours.
Well, she'd have been here. What checking she was doing, I don't know.
Okay.
But she can't go into that area.
I'm looking here going, if there had been good neighbors in sight, it didn't need to happen.
Correct. No question about that. No question about that. If there had been a green coat on duty, I'm sure it wouldn't have happened. Because that's what we're here for, trying to help people.
Major Ron Trickett is part of a team of airport chaplains on duty to handle travelers in need. This time, they were called too late. It was after Robert Dzansky died. They were asked to comfort his mother.
Because there are so many people who speak so many languages, and and surely there was probably some worker here that probably spoke the language. Oh, yeah. But somebody, I guess, did not realize that.
Do you think this story says something about us as a people?
I think it does. I think sometimes we just get involved in our daily activities and we just do our job and not really realizing how we need to go beyond that and reach out more with our love for Christ and sharing that with people as much as we can.
And so Chaplain Trickett frets over what went wrong. These are 3 of the volunteers whom he directs refugees in the worst of crisis to. Puzzled, they feel the lost Polish immigrant should have been no problem.
You know, to me, YVR is one of the friendlier airports.
Oh,
I know.
Yeah.
You know, so the tragedy of this whole thing is that it happened here.
That's why people can't understand.
And,
because normally there are people there to do it. It's somebody.
How did that happen?
Yeah.
There's just too many things that came together at the wrong time.
Yeah.
That's part of that definition of being a good neighbor. It isn't that, well, I'm sorry, that's not part of my job description, so, you know, go stand out in the cold. It's, oh, and there's another person with a need, so I didn't know I could help you.
I think all of us are partly to blame for something like that, and we need to examine where our relationship is to other human beings, and that's, I believe, you know, God intended us to be relational, but that's a very easy thing to also eliminate from our lives.
We don't allow for a lot of margin in life, and I know myself when I'm in a hurry, I'm just hoping I won't run into somebody that has a need because I don't have time to stop to help. And I think that's probably a bit of an indictment on myself, but maybe on us as a larger culture.
But this is a group that's given more space than most for welcoming the stranger. Journey Home Communities coordinate 30 volunteers from their church to be on call for asylum seekers at the airport.
So when they come here, they're tired, they're hungry, they're usually quite sleep deprived. They have not always a very good idea of where they are and what's required of them. And fear is so high that what we need to do is provide a hug, a cup of tea, a cup of coffee, some Kleenexes for the tears, a warm bed, and find out if their tummies need to be filled. And that sounds really trite, but it's practical and it's really basic. They don't need somebody to analyze their situation. They don't need a lot of advice. They need the really one-on-one mother-father type love and honest concern, not I feel your pain. No, they need us to be and sit beside them in their pain.
Pretty profound lessons for a nation in shock that a cultured place like Vancouver could leave an immigrant to wander for hours amongst baggage carousels that cover an area 2 football fields large, then wait hours more after he made his way through immigration.
It is confusing, and I would not have thought that. Now, having done this for a couple of years and walked through this process with several families, it's confusing for us who speak the language and live here. And then I think if you're from another culture and don't speak the language and don't understand, how confusing can that be?
And while the inquiries go on into official behavior and the RCMP and their tasers, this is an inquiry into the ordinary. What needed to happen for people to have cared more for a lost traveler?
I would say because each of us was created by God. He didn't create us in categories or levels of value. So what I need to remember is I am not worth anything more than the lowliest or strangest looking person or neediest looking person who comes to the airport, who comes across the border, or who I see downtown, or who I run over in the mall or run by in the mall. I need to care for those around me. And when Jesus, just like John said, when Jesus said, "Who is my neighbor?" He said, if you do it to the least of these, that's one of my brothers.
When Listen Up comes back, have we created a culture of bystanders? We'll talk with a busy traveler who won a medal for bravery when he saved someone's life. All the while, a woman stood on the bridge eating popcorn and watched. That story next.
Closed captioning provided by Duca Financial Services Credit Union. Discover more affordable banking at duca.com.
Listen Up is back, looking at what does it take to be a good neighbor in a busy airport, in a busy life. Dave Phillips knows Vancouver's airport well. His job is to listen to people's problems. But the problem of what went wrong in the tragic TASER incident and death of a lost traveler at his home airport has left him shocked.
We've all rushed through the airport. We've all rushed past people, you know. We've all gone past circumstances like this, right? I have. You know, I mean, this convicts all of us when we see something like this happen. You know, here's a man walking around the airport for over 9 hours, and nobody comes up and cares for him. You know, where are we going? You know, what? You know, I have to say that when I think about this, I think, okay, boy, how about my life? Instead of pointing fingers, right? It's so easy to point fingers and say everybody else was wrong, and this was wrong, and that system was wrong, and that was wrong. But what am I doing? What am I doing that actually speaks into this problem? How am I living my life on a daily basis? And I think a lot of people are asking that very question. They're asking the question, what am I doing? Right? Not, you know, I mean, you get a lot of people saying, oh, the police this and that. Then, yeah, you know, I'm saying, sure, there was lots of people that were very imperfect in that. You know, it didn't go off exactly the way it should. Yeah, I mean, granted. But what's going on in our culture? What's going on in our hearts?